Hello, everybody. My name is Santiago Caballero. I'm the co-leader of Work Package 6 of PerformFISH project. Here is one of the persons that are present in this project now in this workshop is Katerina. She knows very well what is the aims of the project, but I try to make a small abstract about this project. This workshop is supported by SPAROS. SPAROS is a company that work with us in Work Package 6 with the aim of test and validate some tools. These two tools are FEEDEST and FEEDNETICS. The aim of these tools is validate and different feeding regimens in order to tell to us what is the best feed and validate the new feeds. But this is but after of this presentation, SPAROS, Felipe and Ana could to present all of the details of these softwares. What are the aims of the work of the PerformFISH? PerformFISH born too many years ago in a meeting in Spain in San Sebastian, in that the companies told to the commission that in the last 20 years the companies don't feel any improvement in the KPIs. What are the KPIs that the companies wanted to improve? Expected growth rate, feed conversion rate, and the mortality. Following the recommendation of the companies, the commissions attend this recommendation, this call, and promote and stimulate to develop a project. And a project in that we present a project with the name of PerformFISH. At the same time, other consortium present a new other project that is Medate. And in this moment, we have two projects, PerformFISH and Medate, with the aim of to improve especially the KPIs for the companies, for the Mediterranean companies. What are the targets of the PerformFISH? As we say, I said before, PerformFISH was supported by the companies. All of the main companies the main European companies that produce sea bass and sea bream in Europe are inside of the project and are partners of the project of the PerformFISH project. All of the associations of Spain, of Italy, of Croatia, of Greece, of France are involved in this project. This means that maybe this is the more important project in the last year. The more important project in the last year with the aim of trying to solve the problems, the main challenge of the companies, of the aquaculture companies. These projects are divided in several areas: genetics, hatchery, healthy, sanitary, all related with vaccines and medicines, nutrition, for sure, test and validate, that is Work Package 6, that is this inside of this work package, this workshop, marketing, and evaluate the Work Package 7, that is evaluate and try to measure the KPIs, how we improve the KPIs in this project, with this project, that is a statistic work package. For the companies during the last 4 years, we tried to improve in different areas. We can say that we make a very important improvement in genetics with new steps in order to try to demonstrate that the more robustness and more resistance against parasites with test and validate in CBAS and CBRIN. Also, we have new indicators and new biomarkers with trying to solve and to minimize the problems in the hatchery, problems like malformations and other kinds of problems. Also, we develop new medicines, new vaccines in Work Package 3, new diets with in Work Package 4 that now are in this moment are testing and validate. And we're trying to measure and try to validate now in Work Package 6 all of these new advance, all of the new knowledge that this project developed in the last years. I don't know, and nobody knows at the end of the day if when this project ended, and then probably in the next years, we can guarantee that the target at the aim of this project that was to improve at least 10% in the specific growth rate and the physical percentage, we can reach this target. But we are going to be very close of this, and this project also validates a new styles to management and develop new protocols in that all of the companies can share data, can share experience, can talk between the companies between the companies and the scientists. This project is a new model was a new model and is a new model of how we can afford the research projects and the projects and the research and innovation projects for the future, because the more important is that the companies talk with the scientists, and the scientists can hear the companies. This was very important because we talk and we hear in real time, and we can manage what the companies need for the future, and we can work with them, with the companies for now and for the future. This is one of the most important things. Now I wanted to hear what the SPAROS wanted to share with us for this with this new software that is part of the PerformFISH. Is going to be one of the outcomes of the PerformFISH, and the companies. This software are available for the companies, and working in Work Package 6 with the new feeds that we wanted to test and we are testing. If we can use this software with the new feeds, we can take and we can have new, very interesting and very important data that this software can be very, very interesting and very useful for the companies. Thank you for everybody for being in this workshop, and now we are waiting for SPAROS. Thank you.
Thank you, Santiago. So can just give me a sign if you can hear me properly and see the slide.
Yes, Anna. Is everything okay?
Okay. Okay. So thank you and good day to all. And before we move on to the presentation, I would like to remind you that we will have at the end 30 minutes for questions about the FEEDEST and about the FEEDNETICS application in the context of the PerformFISH. So during the presentation, if some questions arise, you can use the Q&A button of your Zoom window. It should be at the bottom of your screen, or else during the Q&A. You can raise your hand and we will give you the floor for you to speak your question. So as you notice, this is a workshop. We try to give the camera and the microphone for everybody so we can have a more interactive Q&A session. And so moving on. So for what we are going to present today, starting with the FEEDEST public web app. So FEEDEST is a public web app that you can access through this link. If you don't want to remember or type this link, you can go to PerformFISH website, go to the industry corner here, and there you have a link for the FEEDEST. Just before we enter into the web app, some brief notes about the concept. So FEEDEST is made to be a practical public tool to predict optimal feeding rates for 3 typical feeds for bream and bass. It predicts growth and waste, and it was designed to be used by non-modeling experts that to run it need just minimum inputs. So if you follow the link for the FEEDEST, this is what you'll see at the start page. This is the about page, and to go to the functionality, you press here start, and this is what you'll see at the beginning. So you have this left bar with the inputs. You can choose the species, the feed. From 3 diets in the species, you have available the sea bream and the sea bass, which are the target species of PerformFISH project. You can also insert the number of fish in the cages and the initial fish body weight. Also, you can, for inserting a temperature profile, you can generate a temperature profile, or you can upload a file with your temperature profile. And after you allow some time for the charts to load, it will show, your browser will show these 4 charts for feeding rates and for growth. And these outputs are immediately updated as you change temperature, or as you change the feed or the species, any of the inputs, this is automatically updated. And besides the charts, you can download here, you come here to the tables folder, you can download the corresponding prediction results, which also contains the feeding tables. Let's look into it. Just press the download and open the resulting Excel file, and you'll have a sheet with the feeding tables and another sheet with the prediction results and the inputs that you entered. Average, you have the columns for average body weight, total biomass, feed given, the corresponding cumulative indicators for biomass and the feed given, FCR, etc. It continues over here. And just a brief note about what's in the background generating these outputs. So we have implemented a bioenergetic model that takes into account energy and protein of feed and of the fish metabolic processes, which is calibrated. We had calibrated it for bream and for sea bass. And with this model at the FEEDEST application, we simulate the effects of the temperature, feed quantity, feed composition, and the digestibility and the fish size. We simulate the effects on growth. And the FEEDEST algorithm delivers the optimized feed amounts that give you the best compromise between a low FCR and a high growth. So as you've seen it in this quick tour over the tool, it is very simple to use, so please use it. This was built specifically within the PerformFISH project as a tool to be used by the industry. And despite we had already ended the consultation period, we look forward for your feedback. And if you have any question or suggestion for improvement of this tool, please just contact us. So now moving on for the FEEDNETICS part. And before we start these slides, let me remind you that if you have at this stage any comment or question about the FEEDEST web app, you can already type those at the Q&A chat, and we will revisit and address it later on. And also during the Q&A, we can go to the browser if you have any question, any doubt. So in this second part, I will show you how you can use the FEEDNETICS tool within the PerformFISH project. FEEDNETICS is a virtual environment developed by SPAROS, and it is used to evaluate aquafeeds at specific farming conditions. And like FEEDEST, it is also a prediction tool based on a mathematical model, but a more complex model that is in the background running the predictions, as we will see. So behind is a mechanistic model that is more complex than the one implemented at FEEDEST, and that goes to the level of the amino acids, which might be particularly important for the integrated companies that also produce their own feeds. The inputs are also feed quantity and the feed composition and the temperature. And then the model simulates the growth and the fish composition and all the relevant production indicators like economic conversion and feeding costs. Fish farming companies can use FEEDNETICS to compare scenarios, for instance, different feeding regimes or different temperatures, and based on the results, they can quantify production performance and savings on feed, and select the best scenario. And now very, very briefly and in simple terms, here is an example about the value you can take from FEEDNETICS. In this case, we are comparing a premium feed with a standard feed for Jilkhatsi bream using a temperature profile from Preveza in Greece. And based on the results, we estimate in this case that the premium led to a shorter production cycle, we estimate to be less 18%, and that it translates into savings of about 208 euro of feed per ton of fish produced, despite this premium feed being more expensive. These are just two key numbers that illustrate the type of outcomes that you can get, and we will shortly see this example in more detail. From the different FEEDNETICS use options within PerformFISH, we are offering 10 FEEDNETICS applications where we run the FEEDNETICS for 10 of the companies that are interested and that will register today or by email. So there is no learning curve on using another software application. And this is an offer that is applicable for fish farming companies that are partners or members of the producers associations that participate on PerformFISH. The objective of this FEEDNETICS application is to allow the companies that are involved at PerformFISH to use it for feed evaluation or for site benchmarking or other specific requests. We will see next how you can register, and we will give you this example for you to define what would be your objective on using the FEEDNETICS within the PerformFISH project. And the applications, not the contents of course, will also be mentioned on the PerformFISH website newsletter and related project promotion materials. So in the next slides, we will give you more details about that example that we provided. that compares a standard versus a premium feed to illustrate what consists of a FEEDNETICS application. In this one, the objective is to evaluate the bream feed that leads to the lowest economic conversion ratio, considering an harvest size of 450 grams. In this case, for the farming conditions, we set as inputs a stocking of 1 million fish with an initial weight of 10 grams, a mortality rate of 1% per month, starting in March for a typical temperature profile in Preveza in Greece. And in this slide, we have the inputs for feeding regime for both the premium and the standard feeds. For each, we set the proximal composition of the different pellet sizes that will shift along the production cycle. And we also need to provide the digestibilities, and for the amino acid and fatty acid profile, we used a default profile that complies with the requirements for the bream. For the feed ration, we use the commercial feeding tables of these two feeds. And for the calculation of the savings on feed, it is important to provide the feed costs. And as you see here, we set a higher price, a higher cost for the premium compared with the standard feed. So from the FEEDNETICS results, for average body weight, we estimate that the premium feed will reach the target harvest size sooner than the simulation with the standard feed. And that, of course, is expected due to the composition of each feed. But with this type of prediction tools, what we can is to quantify how much sooner. And in this case, the difference is very relevant. It is less 85 days. And in the chart, in that chart that I just showed you, the fish fed with the premium feed grows faster, but the most important question is if the premium feed is more economical. And to answer that, we can look into the summary table and check the key indicators at the target harvest weight. Here we have days in production, the growth rate, the FCR, the economic conversion, cumulative feeding, and the wastes. And as we can see, the premium will lead to less 160 tons of feed needed to be given to reach the target harvest weight, and that translated into a saving of 280 euro feed per ton of fish produced. And it is, at this stage, it is important to highlight that those outcomes are specific for those conditions. What about if we consider a different temperature profile? Will we observe the same trends? And we will illustrate that by running exactly the same scenario, except we will use now also a lower temperature profile. And in this case, we get lower differences between the two feeds, with the premium still leading to a shorter production cycle. But instead of being less 85 days, now it is shorter only by 25 days. And in this case, answering to the question about if the premium is more economical, yes, it is still more economical, about less 80 euro of feed per ton of fish produced compared with the standard, which in this case, for a manager that is looking into the results, he might decide that this benefit is not enough for him to risk giving this higher price feed, and for some reason might losing the due to fish losses for any other reason. And in the end, it is always up to the manager to decide what to do with these figures. What we want to illustrate here is that with FEEDNETICS application, you can quantify these production indicators and isolate these nutritional effects of the feeds on the fish performance. And in the reality, there are a lot of other factors that are affecting the growth at the cages, like pathogens, dissolved oxygen, currents changing, and the fish size distribution, population behavior within the cage, you name it. While we will not be able to accommodate those effects with this type of prediction tools, what you can do is to predict and isolate the nutritional effects on the fish performance and get the trends, in this case, between this premium and standard feed, considering these two temperature profiles. So I hope these previous slides illustrated how you can use it. To apply in the context of the PerformFISH, you can register using the, not pool, with two O's, should be with two L's, with the pool window that we will launch just in a couple of minutes, or you can send us an email. We have a limit of 10 applications covering 10 farming companies, and the selection criteria will be first companies that belong to the associations involved at PerformFISH, and then we will select by order of registration. So after you register and you qualify, the next steps for this application are, so first you need to define the goals for the application. It can be to evaluate different feeds, as we saw in the example. It can be to benchmark different sites with different temperature profiles, but it can also be other things like testing, for instance, different stocking periods. You choose the goal. Second step is to compile the settings for your predictions. These are, for compiling these settings, are the same type of inputs as you saw in the example. So feeding regime, including feed composition, quantity, and price. Price is needed for the calculation of savings on feed, the farming conditions, and the target harvest size. To help compiling the data, you can use our user input data file that we will send in a follow-up email, and then you need to send this for us to apply the FEEDNETICS. And to ensure data confidentiality, we will also send the data transfer agreement to be signed to secure that we will use the data only for this purpose of the application of FEEDNETICS within the PerformFISH. And so the third step is for your is dedicated for your analysis of the prediction results. And concerning important production indicators, there are many others available, and for that we will send you a spreadsheet file with the FEEDNETICS prediction results, including a summary table, consolidated chart sheet with the consolidated charts, for you to compare different indicators at the same time, and also a sheet with the raw prediction outputs for the indicators that you saw as an example, and some are listed here, or for many others that we have available. And so the fourth step is, and last one, is to receive your feedback about the usefulness of the results for you, for choosing scenarios, if that's applicable, or for optimizing the feeding. And that is all for the presentation. Thank you very much for listening. And before we move to the Q&A, where we can revisit any of these slides and go into detail to address your questions or comments, we will now launch the polls for your registration for the FEEDNETICS application. Just let me here launch. So probably you are seeing now a poll being launched. Louise will will manage the Q&A, and maybe my suggestion is that before we start formally the Q&A, we give let's say 5 minutes for people to register and start taking putting the questions in the chat or by raising the hand. And so I'll put who is in the spotlight. Also, I'm leaving here the emails in case you need, and I will put Luis in the spotlight.